You're watching Inside Automotive with Cheyenne Malone.
Hello everyone, I'm Cheyenne Malone. Establishing a strong online presence is vital for pretty much any type of business, right? And dealerships are no exception. Today we're diving into SEO for dealerships and an interesting Google business profile study. We want to break it all down, and we got just the man to do it for us. Joining me now, automotive SEO expert and Chief Operating Officer of Search Lab, Greg Gifford. Welcome, Greg.
Hey, thanks for having me. I am excited to be here.
Yes, well, first things first, let's talk about SEO today and just some of the trends that we're seeing right now as we move in full force into 2024.
Yeah, so Google has made a lot of changes since COVID basically reset the way that a lot of people search for things online. And a lot of what Google is doing is trying to align the search results with the shift in user intent. And COVID started it, and it's really continued down the road of people really want localized search results. They want to, obviously with cars, you want to buy a car from a dealership where you can go sit in the car and test drive the car and touch and feel and smell. But it's that way with every business. A lot of shift has occurred to push towards localized search results, which means the local algorithm has really been pushed to the forefront, and a lot of people don't realize that there are multiple algorithms at play. So it's a big shift in understanding what you need to do to be able to show up better in local searches in 2024.
And, recently, NADA, big deal, right? You're there, you're showing some of the results of a 2-year study on over 3,000 dealership Google business profiles.
Yeah.
Break that down for us. What does it mean? What does it tell us?
Well, the whole reason that I went in this direction is I've been speaking at conferences all over the world for over a decade. I've been speaking at everything in automotive for almost 15 years now. And I know it's hard for attendees to come in and learn about SEO because there's so many moving pieces. And a lot of people feel like it's smoke and mirrors, but it really is pretty specific, the things that you need to do. But every time you read a blog post or watch a video or see someone present at a conference, it's some expert or sometimes just a sales guy on stage sitting there dictating, here's what you need to do and do it this way or it's not going to work, without ever really proving what works. And I've done the same thing. So I wanted to take a different point of attack this time. So we did a 2-year study on Google business profiles across 3 different verticals, but the main one was auto dealers because that's what we focus on, to see if the real world data of who's showing up and why actually backs up the commonly agreed on best practices. So that was the purpose of the study. So then I could come in and say, okay, cool. We assume that this thing matters, and guess what? It does. And we assume this one matters, and it does. And we assume this one matters, but it didn't work the way that we expected it. And then we can dig in more to figure out why. And obviously that was way too much to talk about in the 40 minutes that I had in Vegas. So I kind of shared a few teasers, and we're going to be publishing the full results of the study. I was hoping to get it done this month, but it was a crazy busy NADA, so it may be until March till I get it published.
I can only imagine. Now, what's working in today's dealerships, right, in the area when it comes to SEO?
Right, so the main bit that I talked about was the Google business profiles, because that's kind of a cornerstone, and it's something that a lot of people don't get right. So the important bits: you should definitely have a separate profile set up for your parts department and a separate profile set up for your service department. And those need to be explicitly nested under the main Google business profile so it lists the departments. That's hugely important. The data definitely backs up that category selection is very influential in the searches that you'll show up for. There are 10 category slots that dealers can choose. And for most verticals out there, there aren't 10 categories to include. But for car dealers, there are more than 10 categories that apply to sales, more than 10 for parts, and more than 10 for service. So the dealers that are doing well are the ones that select all 10 categories, and they're also very careful with the first category that they choose because the algorithm puts a lot more weight into the primary Google business profile category. So there was a lot of really compelling data there that really proved that that was hugely influential. Customer reviews are incredibly influential. So the guys and gals that are more aggressive in getting reviews for their dealerships are performing better. There was some great stuff in there too, where I partnered with a couple of other tool sets to not just look at the business profile, but to look at the website. So we could look at the average word count on the homepage of the website and the average load speed and how many links are pointed at the dealership website from other websites. So it was a kind of a Google business profile focus, but we looked at a lot of different SEO factors, and for all but maybe 10% of the factors, everything worked as you would expect. All of the best practices that you have heard over and over again throughout the years from myself and from other people up on stage, those things really do matter, but now the data proves how much they matter. So I think that was really compelling for a lot of people as well. I had really interesting conversations afterwards with people that were in the room that were, the basic idea was, well, yeah, I've heard this for years, but wow, I didn't ever realize it was that influential. So I think a lot of people were excited with the data that I shared.
What challenges are you seeing out there?
Honestly, the biggest challenge out there is the weird system that they have in automotive where you have the OEMs dictating who the dealers can use for digital marketing services.
Okay.
It doesn't really function that way in any other vertical anywhere else in the world. And it's unfortunate because those programs don't really have the best interest of the dealer at heart. They're really more focused on the OEM as a whole. So the problem is most of the dealers are going to use their co-op funds, but those co-op funds are only able to be used on the people in program, and then the people in program basically do the same cookie cutter assembly line SEO for every dealership. So there is no customization, and that cookie cutter approach just doesn't work in today's world. The algorithm is too complex, and every city is unique. Every dealership has unique goals and different ways that they run their business, and the competitive landscape is different every time. So I think the biggest challenge is most dealers are accustomed to just signing up and checking a box to get the cookie cutter solution, and that doesn't work in today's world.
I know you're still breaking everything down and you're expected to share more in the coming months, but anything else that just jumped out at you when it comes to the study?
Yeah, I one of the things I did was look at the average across the industry. So what's the average number of reviews? What's the average number of words on a page? And I didn't really get to dig in more because, again, I only had 40 minutes. But when I start breaking the data down, looking at the differences between the OEMs, the word count on Ford sites is totally different than the word count on Toyota sites or on Honda sites. And so seeing the differences in what the OEMs are pushing out was pretty interesting. And seeing the big differences in review counts. The average view count was like 1,800 reviews across the entire group. Oh. But Ford and Toyota tended to have a lot more reviews as individuals than everyone else. So I think that skewed things a bit. And it was really interesting that the responsiveness of a website is very clearly influential. Google said for years that you need to have a responsive website, but until the page experience update that happened in late 2022, it wasn't really something that was incorporated into the algorithm officially. And now that it has been incorporated, it's pretty clear that the one website provider in automotive that does not have responsive websites is not performing anywhere near as well as the others.
Interesting. So when it comes to, KPIs, key performance indicators, are there specific metrics that are tracked to evaluate SEO performance?
That is a great question. A lot of people get confused and they will use some sort of a rank tracking software solution to track SEO success. And ranking as SEO success is a flawed metric because those rank trackers don't really reflect reality. It is some piece of software trying to tell you what it thinks humans are seeing in search results. But more importantly, those software solutions are designed for Google's traditional algorithm where if you rank number one, you rank number one everywhere. But with the local algorithm, the physical location in the real world of the person doing the search and their proximity to the search results that they see will influence what they see. So that means if your dealership is located on the east side of town and someone's searching for you near the dealership, you'll rank really well. But if they're searching on the west side of town, you may not rank as well. And that doesn't mean that SEO doesn't work. It means that location plays into what those search results are going to be. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that well yet. So I think that's a big challenge that we're trying to help educate dealers and overcome. That's what I've been talking about at 20 Groups for the last 2 years is to help dealers understand that you can't just optimize for everything in your area. It really has a lot to do with where you're located and where your potential customers are searching from.
Makes sense. Any final thoughts for us, Greg?
Yeah, I just want to make sure if anybody's watching this, please pay attention to what's going on and all of the changes that are being made and evaluate. Hopefully you've got an in-house team running your SEO. That's the best possible solution, although that can get pretty expensive quickly. But evaluate your in-house team or your in-house person, or evaluate your vendor and make sure they understand local SEO and that they're paying attention to all the changes that have been made. We've seen so many dealerships that are paying a lot of money for SEO that are just burning money because they're using those cookie cutter solutions that don't work with all of the updates that have happened in the last few years.
Well said. Chief Operating Officer of Search Lab, Greg Gifford, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank all of you for watching Inside Automotive, and we're now streaming on Roku and Apple TV.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Cheyenne Malone.